It is my goal by the end of this video to convince you that you should be just as excited for the Pat Sabatini and Tristan Connelly fight as you are for the rest of the UFC 261 card, including the main card. I know that sounds ridiculous based on what they've put together for the main card, but just hear me out a little bit. Tristan Connelly and Pat Sabatini both have incredible stories and amazing tape. Just go watch their fights. But let's start with Pat Sabatini. I mean, the dude's got a Mark Wahlberg ready to be inspired story just in the making. Let's talk about the CFFC career and just everything he did, worked his way up, won the title, goes and loses to Jose Mariscal at Victory FC 50. It took everything out of me not to say Jorge Masvidal, but he goes and loses a split decision there and kind of just obviously teeters his CFFC record there just by, he was on a tear. And then he goes back, kind of gets his name back, wins the title again, but then loses it via this broken arm. What? I've seen CM Punk and John Morgan call some crazy shit. These guys have to just watch a finger go down. I mean, come on now. So when I'm looking at this fight, I'm thinking, comes back from that broken arm, goes ahead, wins his title again. This isn't even the UFC. This is the CFFC career. Like, this is just Cinderella's story, right? Keeps, earning his shot back, goes in and wins that title. So now, right after winning that title for the next point, gets right back into UFC, talks, and here we go. So I'm really excited for it because I think that he's a guy that, people have been waiting for. Let's talk about just like this rise of Philly fighters that are just coming to UFC. Now, I was a big Philly boxing fan as a kid. And if you're a Rocky guy, I was a kid just in the mirror, just watching the fight in my parents' room on a regular basis, just shadow boxing the mirror. But yeah, like that's the crew. Like, that's the guys, right? So, we have the Dawkins brothers. Now we get to watch Sabatini come in. Just let's talk about, hands for days and heart galore. That's what we want to see, right? These guys don't give up.
But Pat didn't tap, and he's still trying to fight him off.
Right? So, I mean, at the end of the day, that broken arm right there that we saw, it's one of those things where the fact that he was able to come back from that, win a fight, go back, get his title, now gets his UFC opportunity, gets a guy like Tristan Connelly, absolutely beautiful. Can't wait to watch him just, square off, enjoy the moment, take it all in because he earned it. All right, let's get into Tristan Connelly because that's a Canadian man. And as you can probably guess, I'm Canadian. And so, I want to call him the Canadian Peter Yan. Go watch the tape. I mean, I'm not steering you wrong. It's a Michelle Pereira fight anyway. So you're not going to hate me for watching that one. But that's just an absolutely beautiful fight to watch because we kind of saw Tristan Connelly do what Chaos Williams couldn't do on a short notice fight where he had to move up in weight, where Michelle Pereira missed weight. Dude was struggling. So, after all his fancy stuff got over, he was definitely fading in the last couple rounds. Connelly took advantage. But, I really do want to reiterate Canadian Peter Yan because, when he was in those moments, poised as hell, boxing was crisp and he wasn't phased. Any moment when Pereira chose to just be normal and take a breather, he was coming right in his face, the 1-2s consistently with a face of, after jumping off the fence and shit, I kind of owe you a couple. So I feel like that was one of those things where he didn't look frustrated. He was the guy that Pereira did that whole jumping flip on and completely missed his ribs and probably could have shattered them. But I mean, those are those beautiful fights that you're never going to forget, right? Tristan Connelly was the fighter, and it was a short notice fight that he took. So I think that he absolutely proved himself in that fight. It was a well-earned victory. And again, the boxing was crisp, the wrestling looked good, and he had such slick transitions, in and out of submissions. If you were leveraging, trying to get out by rolling, I mean, he was rolling with you, had good top position when he was trying to get you in a guillotine. I mean, it was really good, just beautiful work, especially with the tired fighter. I think that he proved that he belongs in the UFC just in that fight right there. And, he's getting an absolute test of steel in Pat Sabatini, who's not going to give up. And I think that from a striking perspective, these guys are going to throw down. When you look at the odds right now, I mean, Tristan Connelly's coming in, I think as expected, a pretty significant underdog. But what's hilarious is that he opened as the favorite, -125. I think that's UFC bump, right? We haven't seen Pat Sabatini fight in the UFC, but, take a few looks at his CFFC career and see what he's accomplished. And I think you'll very much understand why that line flipped from a plus 105 for Patrick Sabatini to now some places are showing minus 250. So, I think that's kind of funny. I think it's a fair line because of the things that you can actually see on tape, because on Connelly's side, like, so much regional experience here. But at the same time, I think that, that was a fight where he had the perfect game plan and just skill overall to deal with what Michel Pereira was throwing at him. But Pat Sabatini is not going to be, doing flips and doing all that kind of fancy stuff. He's going to be ready to go. He's going to be ready to throw some bows, throw some big punches. Power's there. That's probably my favorite part on both sides. I think they have sneaky shots, very accurate. When I look at some of the stats, just to kind of throw some out there and what I think is a fairly close fight, I mean, no real reach advantage per se. Got a couple inches of 1 to 2. We don't really have many stats on Sabatini because he hasn't fought in the UFC, but plenty of tape. Check out Fight Pass for your CFFC fights. But when we look at Connelly's fight, right, didn't really absorb much damage and was throwing punches galore and was able to avoid any type of takedowns that Pereira was trying to get him down for while he was tired. So I was really impressed with just the overall ability there. I think he has a lot to bring to the table. He's very much an understandable underdog, also an understandable opening favorite. But, once you get an idea of where Pat Sabatini's coming from, what he's accomplished already in his career, he's a very well-oiled machine. And I think that this is an opportunity that he's been waiting for, and he is not going to slouch it a bit. So please get excited for this one. I really think these guys are going to go as hard as possible. Basically, Philly shuffle. Peter Yan from Canada. Let's go. Get pumped, people. Get pumped.